What's going on, guys? So I just did another repair on the Brookstone, replacing a furnace control board that I literally just replaced. And the reason for that is the original one went out because it got wet. And you might ask how it got wet. I'll talk about that in a second. Hang tight. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm actually doing two repairs. I've completed them both now, but I just want to walk you through what happened. So we replaced the furnace control board. I did a full video on it. I walked you through it. I showed you how simple it is because it got wet. And I felt that it got wet the previous time because maybe condensation got into it with some of the climate changes that have been going on, how it's gotten really cold and really hot and all of that stuff. And there was a layer of water, or what appeared to be a real thin layer of water on the control board. So we swapped it out with a new one. Again, I did a full video on that. And lo and behold, I came out here after washing the RV because the furnace fan was running when it shouldn't have been running. And I pulled this cover back off and noticed that my brand new $77 control board was completely soaked. Now, the reason for that is one that's kind of unfortunate, and that's because it wasn't properly sealed around the edge here. And because it wasn't sealed around the edge right here, water got back into it, basically went over the inner lip and spilled directly onto the board. So I replaced the board again, and this time I did things a little bit different. So I put the new board in, and I sealed all around the edge with silicone, as well as a strip of Gorilla Tape right here and right here. And the purpose of that is because water coming down now has to flow over this versus behind it, and the silicone also provides some sealant. So I'm willing to give up a little bit of cosmetic look to basically, hopefully, ensure that the new board doesn't get wet. Well, that said, during the testing process, I had to come over here to open up my propane, and the minute I opened this door, I could smell propane, and I'm like, darn, I have a gas leak. So I had to tackle that, and let me show you what I did. So I use these GasStop devices, and basically what you do is you turn your gas on, and then you push this like 5 times, like that, and now you can see gas is flowing. It basically opens up a little stopper in there, and it allows gas to flow. You push it 5 times because you want to make sure that you've pushed the spring out of the way that closes in the event there's a gas leak. So now if there's a major gas leak, what ends up happening is this is going to detect it. It's going to lose pressure to that essentially that stopper. The stopper is going to block the gas line, and it's going to prevent any kind of major gas catastrophe because it stops gas leaking from occurring. So I opened it all up, I pressed this down, and I could smell propane. So what I did was I did what's called kind of a low pressure test, and a low pressure test is looking for slow leaks. So I closed it, and I checked to see if this little needle would drop down. And it was dropping down really quickly. Not super quickly, but probably about 10 seconds of time would pass, and then it would drop down. And I realized that I have a gas leak. So what did I do? So I have this cool tool that I bought on Amazon. It's a combustible gas detector. So how does this work? Basically, you turn it on, starts ticking, and it has a sniffer on the end, and it essentially sniffs for gas leaks. These are relatively inexpensive, and you hear the little clicking noise, and if you have a gas leak, it is going to start making a really loud whining noise, letting you know approximately how strong it is as well. So I was able to probe around, and I realized that the gas leak was coming from right up here. I don't know if you can see that or not. And before, there was not a stainless steel line right here. It was a rubber hose. It was the factory rubber hose, and I was probing here, and then I would probe up here, and it would start going crazy. And I realized that the seal right there must have been a bad seal, because when I would get close to it, it would start making a lot of noise. And I could see how that could happen over time. If there's any pressure on this hose that's right here, and you're driving down the road, it could possibly compromise the seal. So having a gas detector like this can come in really handy if you suspect that there's some type of a combustible fuel leak that you want to sniff around for. And ever since replacing it with this piece I actually had from here, from GasStop. So this is one of their right angle connections. So if you have a tighter space, you can put it here. I've had this ever since my collaboration. I never actually installed it. So I simply replaced the rubber line that was right there with this braided stainless steel line that I've had in my shop for a while, and now it's holding gas just fine and I'm not having any problems at all. So it is always a good idea that if you smell propane, assume that propane is leaking from somewhere. The smell that they add to propane is specifically so you can detect leaks. That's why it's there. Typically, you're not going to have any type of a scent when it comes to natural gas or propane, and by adding that sulfuric kind of smell to it, it helps you identify if a leak's occurring. Now, it may not be your RV if you're parked next to others, because that smell can actually travel kind of far, and it's a real thin gas, so it can go through things as well. But this is definitely one area you want to investigate and determine if it's a leak coming from your unit, where it's coming from, and if it's something you can easily fix and replace on your own. It's a relatively easy fix. With me, I just needed a 1/2-inch wrench to go ahead and remove the old rubber line, and then I used another wrench to go ahead and tighten the new one on. And once we tightened it, we snugged it down a little past snug, and we tested it again, and we don't have any more gas leaks. So this is certainly an area that you want to be very cautious, and you can perform that low pressure test, basically by turning off your gas and seeing if that needle drops back slowly. If it does, it means that you have a low pressure leak. Basically, it's a really small leak, and it's seeping propane from somewhere, and you should check it out. But once I replaced this line, you can see it's holding fuel just fine, even with the gas turned off, and it's giving us the ability to have a little bit more peace of mind. But the cool thing again about the GasStop is that it shuts off if there's a major leak, and you can also turn it off if there's a minor leak. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, just wanted to drop this quick video talking about the furnace and talking about some of the things we did. Guys, this is something worth checking out. I'll throw a link in the description of this video if you may be interested in picking up one of those gas leak detectors. It's definitely a worthwhile investment to be able to probe around and find out where a gas leak could be occurring. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.